Thief came out back in 1998 for just the Windows computer, around the time that gaming on your computer was still in its infancy. The only games that were probably out on the PC at the time was like Half-Life, maybe Quake, those little point and click games with the little purple car fuck. This was their second game published by Eidos Interactive, and their first of those that was an original IP by Looking Glass Studios, the developers of Thief. Despite all this going against them, the game was actually reviewed incredibly well with 90s, 100s, and was also their most profitable game ever for the studio. It was also one of the very first stealth games ever, and I want to find out if it still holds its ground as one of the foundations of stealth gaming. I've always loved stealth games. I'm obsessed with particularly the Hitman reboot. When that came out when I was a kid, I was obsessed. I would watch videos about it, like the Gaming Lemon. I would look up speed runs of the game, and I'm still so grateful for it because it really opened my eyes up to the world of stealth games. Like Splinter Cell, Alien Isolation was a big one for me. Metal Gear Solid, I've been obsessed with. Even to an extent like the Bethesda games with their minor stealth mechanics and the Metro titles, which I played stealthily the whole time through and it was great. These are all franchises I love, and I continue to play these games even now. But Thief was a new franchise for me. It's one I wasn't too familiar with, despite being there in the beginning, despite being one of the very first 3D stealth games to release. So I wanted to see if it was worth my time, and unfortunately, it was not great. I was a little late to this whole party. The game did, of course, come out 25 years ago, so I had to install a couple modifications to make the game even run on a modern computer. If you want to play the game now, you're probably going to have to do that too.
I was a kid. No parents, no home. Running messages and picking pockets to keep my ribs from meeting my spine.
In Thief, you play Garrett, a thief who goes from breaking out prisoners to raiding tombs to descending into hell. Despite the amount of context the game gives you regarding the story, where you're going, your direct role, how you contribute to it, it's hard to keep up with, I find. The cutscenes are boring, they drag on, and the audio mixing is terrible. And part of the plot is even like dialogue that happens in the middle of the game where your objectives might change or something, and honestly, I don't think I ever heard one of these because I was always either in combat or it was too quiet. There's a sound that it makes every time your objective changes, a weird little ding that happens to play the same time Garrett likes to speak sometimes, so I couldn't hear anything. However, I can forgive that. Stories in stealth games are never their strongest points. Despite the 170 whatever hours I have in Hitman, all I really know is that Hitman has a brother, and that Hitman Absolution is kind of canon, but kind of not, because it's not great. I don't know. But what you really go in for these types of games is the locations where you're interrogating, where you're searching and finding for treasure or whatever you're looking for in a certain map. The set pieces. And this is one of the stronger aspects. This is something that they are very creative with, and I can appreciate about the game. It has, like, there's tombs, there's mansions, there's a mansion with the top floor is like nature is breaking in and trying to take over it, and like secret hideouts and so many different locations. There's so much variety in these churches even. These locations are conceptually amazing, and while they're graphically a little plain, it makes sense. I mean, it's 1998. I can't really blame them with that. I mean, and I won't go too into the locations because I don't want to spoil the entire game, potentially. I do think that They work well, of course, like I said, conceptually. However, where it seems to fall apart is in the actual design of these locations, the layouts. Some are usually pretty simple, easy to follow. Some are structured like actual houses, which really makes sense because you kind of have an idea where to go. But some of them are also incredibly annoying, make no sense, and I don't know where I'm going half the time. There's one mission called the Thieves Guild, which is in the beginning of the game. Not the first mission, but it's in the beginning. And it is the worst mission ever in Thief. People have said that this mission is so bad, like, just skip it. If you're a new player, just skip it. I didn't. I actually got through it all somehow, and it was terrible. You have to, like, go from one end of the map to the other end of the map, back to the first end of the map. There's a giant sewer section you have to go through, which conceptually, again, very good, very cool. The problem comes in just how it's designed. It's so hard to navigate through and keep a good idea of where you're going. Not a great stage for the near beginning of Thief. While playing through Thief, you actually do get a decently large amount of gameplay options. While it's not great by today's Hitman standards, like Hitman, that's actually the only stealth franchise I think that's alive right now, so Hitman is the only example. But I think it is well enough for 1998. You get a sword for killing, you have a club for knocking people out. You also have like 5, I believe, different kinds of arrows that you can use for different purposes. There's a water arrow for fire. There's a moss arrow for terrain that might make a lot of noise so that you can muffle your footsteps, which I thought was a really good conceptually. And I never really used it, but I think it was great. There's also different throwables, there's flash bombs and whatever. And of course, the main gameplay mechanic being the shadows, the darkness that you reside in. While Geralt stands in the dark, he's pretty much, if not entirely invisible to anyone nearby him. You'll be in the dark most of this game if you play it right. Where you'll be sneaking past guards, you'll be going through tunnels, and anytime you're outside of the shadows, you're almost at near constant risk for getting caught, and then you're done. Where I think this fails, though, is with the fact that it's very linear. I find that a lot of the times in modern stealth games like Metal Gear Solid 5, which I'm going through, or Hitman, or whatever else, they're much more like sandbox stealth games. You're given a lot of tools, a lot of options, and then you have to go in, create your own strategy, and execute. While in Thief, even though it seems like it's not, it's a very linear game. It's something you can explore. You can explore for treasure. If you want to actually finish your objective, then you're going to have to get linear with it. You're not going to have a lot of options. And that's where I really feel like it falters. Because anytime you get caught, it's a game of trial and error. It falls into you reloading or you going back. Because once you get caught in these games, that's pretty much done for you. If it happens in Hitman, your round's also pretty much done, but there's a lot more that you have at hand to keep yourself safe in those. In Metal Gear Solid 5, it leans into it. It forces you to adapt, and it gives you options to adapt with. But with Thief, it's kind of just you're screwed, and it's pretty easy to get caught. So it kind of just leads you to trial and error and everything. Like it felt like I was playing the game wrong because I legitimately sometimes could not tell what I'm supposed to do. And it got really annoying. And that, I think, was a large issue with this game. It could be done so much better. It just didn't have that much of a solid design foundation. And I mean, that's fair. I mean, it's a 1998 game for the PC, so the budget's not going to be great. It was a little upsetting to see a game that I find so important for the stealth genre to be so poor in modern age. I can certainly respect, though, what the game just is, being one of the first stealth games, having such a big influence on the rest of the stealth genre, particularly with playing with shadows. Like in, I know Elder Scrolls Oblivion has a lighting system similar to that, as well as other stealth games. Metal Gear Solid 5, of course, is very big on on darkness and blend into environments, camo kind of stuff. The effects that this game has had on the wider gaming landscape is very clear. Would I play this game again this year or in the future? Absolutely fucking not. Absolutely fucking not. But if you love stealth games as much as I do, or you think you can just tolerate these games, like older games I have a pretty low tolerance to, admittedly, maybe you can handle it better than I can. I would say give it a shot. If you think you would enjoy it, if you just love stealth and you want to explore the genres more, go for it. They're also like dirt fucking cheap. Thief 1 is like $1.30 right now, and Thief 2 probably the same price. They're basically the same game. I still haven't played Thief 2. I don't really want to, but I'm gonna have to. It's on my fucking game library. But yeah. Yeah, so is it worth to play in 2023? Not really. Alright, that's all. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell.